Now you may ask, Mr. Cooley, why are you drawing this picture upside down? That's a good question. And the only answer I have for that is I'm trying to avoid a problem that we have when it comes to drawing art. That problem dwells in the difference between the verbal side of the brain versus the perceptual side of the brain. See, we are taught at a very early age and throughout our life, matter of fact, we are verbal people. We're visual people too, but we tend to think more in symbolism than we do actual, you know, perceptual space. For example, if I know when we're young, we are praised very early on. You know, if we start catching on to symbolism, symbolism is very valuable. I mean, it's the way we communicate. You know, ultimately, reading and writing and is symbols that represent things. So it is an important part of our learning and our understanding of the world around us. For example, when you're growing up, you might have drawn something like this. When somebody says, draw our sun, there's a nice representation of our sun. Now, it's a great thing to be able to do that and to be able to represent something. But here's the problem. The problem is this is actually our sun. So we learn a symbol, early on to represent the actual sun. And the sun actually changes every day. Um, I actually have a little app at home, a weather app, and they show a picture every day. And it's interesting because the sun is constantly changing. So it never really looks the same. But this is our understanding of it. And that's okay. That becomes a problem in art. You're trying to draw as an artist. Our symbolism tends to get in the way of the actual perception, or that is actual visual of what it is we're trying to represent. So back to my drawing here, if I can kind of remove myself from that symbolic reference that I'm just going to naturally go to, I can kind of open myself up to just seeing my subject matter for what it is and the reality. And the reality of it, this is a drawing by Picasso. I think it's called The Seated Man. And the reality of it is a bunch of lines that come together, create different shapes, and taken as a whole, they make this man who is seated in this chair upside down. So if you just look at what I've started here, I mean, you see just a bunch of lines. And if you were able to block off this portion of the drawing, you would see that I'm doing a fairly good job. You're never going to be perfect when you're drawing upside down, but you are going to be more accurate in your representation if you are truly looking at the lines and the shapes and not looking at the man in the seat. The big mistake would be like if I looked at the hands and I know your mind wants to go, well, I know a hand has 5 fingers, so big mistake would be to come in and go, well, here's, I know that's a sleeve, even though it's upside down, I kind of know his sleeve is there. And I know what a hand looks like. Nobody, that'd be a big mistake to 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's usually a thumb in there, so I'm just going to do that. That is, what we know a hand to be. But you can see that is not what's going on over there at all. Not at all. Okay, so don't do that. I actually drew them on my actual paper here, but I'm just going to draw over those lines. Oops, and I can already see where I've made mistakes. And I'm probably making mistakes because I'm talking while I'm doing this. But I'm just going to draw over my mistakes and keep going. And when you do this, that's one way I'll be able to tell if you truly did the assignment. You can very easily tell if somebody traced the assignment or if somebody drawing from, again, that verbal side of the verbal side where you are only drawing what you know instead of what you're seeing. And again, I'm having a little problem here, but I'm going to work my way through it. Keep right on going. One pointer for this, if you're in an area, it's good to kind of go through the piece, draw through the piece. If you have a long line, sometimes it's better just to draw like this from here to here. I would draw because I can really judge the distance between these lines and get them more accurate, you know. And then it shows me where these lines are going to come in. Already, I think if I shut my mouth for a second, I already start to zone in a little better on what it is I'm doing. Now back to that hand. This time I want to try to draw what I see as opposed to what I know. Whoop. Well, probably a little rusty too. I haven't done this in a while, but Actually, it's not too bad. What other fingers wrapping around? So again, concentrate on the distance between the lines, the shapes they're making when they close. And try to turn the noise off. Because again, if you're listening to something, you're tapped into that verbal side again. You're tapped into. Now, if you're listening to music, you're listening to words and symbols, and you're just overloading the right side of your brain, that verbal mode, and it's kind of contradicts the whole point of this assignment. It kind of you end up on the wrong side of the brain, and you will not be successful at this. Left mode, perceptual mode, going to operate a little better in silence, take away all that distraction of symbols. And you should be much more successful. So don't do what I'm doing. Don't sit here and talk the whole time. Don't watch TV. You cannot watch TV. You can't watch music. Can't do these things. Maybe have to focus on your breath a little bit, your breathing. Whoa, you can see where I'm way out of whack. I guess I'll come back and just redraw. If I get too far off. Don't sketch either. This is basically an outline and a contour line drawing. And let's just keep it with that for now. And I have a tendency to start wanting to sketch myself, but trying to resist that urge. I'm up to his head and his tie. Now, I'm not asking you to go this fast either. I'm really kind of trying to get through it so you can have more time to work on it. And I would, if I was doing this for a grade, I would spend much more time on this drawing than I'm doing right now. And again, I wouldn't talk the whole time. But there you go. That is Picasso's upside down drawing by Mr. Cooley. Have fun with this. Take your time. get on that left side of the brain, get away from the verbal side of the brain. Till we meet again.